For the last 4 or 5 weeks, right, we usually have lectures on Bhagavad Gita or any other Prakarana Granthas or scriptures. But as we opened up in person, I completely made a conscious shift to speak about the relevance of our connection to our own roots. Without that Shraddha, whatever else as spirituality we may practice is just a mere facade, and we will fall flat. Not just as individuals, but as collective generations will fall flat. So I spent quite an amount on that. I consciously avoided touching the 7 dynasties of Mughals and the others Islamic invaders, because that requires a complete different kind of study, and it's quite barbaric details. Quite barbaric. I mean, so I didn't touch that. But I thought today, being the last one of the classes, you have heard enough, and the need for the direct connect to our own roots is a necessity. So if you have any questions with regards to this particular topic, I have to always make that. Does anybody have questions?
No question, but definitely your talk in somewhat I attended to open my eyes. I was not knowing a lot of things. We have never taught all those things in Australia or anywhere. We are not asked to read or anything. So
that reminds me, there is one book, I mean, there are several authors. Did I tell you the list of authors, right? All these authors have been nicely consolidated in a nice framework for us to understand by a recent author, is an advocate. His name is J.S. Deepak. The book that he has written is called India, that is Bharath. In the constitution, that is the first statement with which they begin, India, that is Bharath. So he has used that as the title of the book, one of the, or the first of the 3 books that he is publishing. The second book I think will release soon, but it is available on Kindle, so please do read that. And there is much to know. If there are no questions, then I will continue with another topic. Because usually the complaint that I hear from the fellow Hindus is, we never get an opportunity to discuss or ask our questions, we never get answers, we never get this, we never get that. I think I am one of such strange fellows that I say, please ask. I am ready to butt heads with.
not to ask on your topic, but recently what is going on in India now, all these news.
There are several newses that are happening. Which one?
Recent one, the Kashi Vishwanath temple and all. So there are so many things which have not been told, but it's really all these things are there, but never been studied anywhere. We have been told yes, these Mughal rulers came in, conquered, and they did all these things, and they killed each other and become king. But nobody has written
No, it is written. It is definitely written.
Not, I have not read.
So if you want to reach the original accounts of all those atrocities, we don't have to go too far. As I said, there are 7 different dynasties of Islamic origin that did a lot of invasions and barbaric acts in India, in Bharat. When I say Bharat, it is from Afghanistan to Tibet to Burma, Bhutan to Lanka. That is Bharat, which was attacked. That should be kept in mind. The others accounts will be a little difficult to find, but of these 7 dynasties, the Mughal dynasty had a penchant to retain a writer, a script, who would write a daily account of all their exploits through the entire Bharatvarsha, their lifetime. It starts with Babur. Babur, it's all written in Persian. Urdu is of a recent development. At that time it was not Urdu, it was Persian that was used. So most of these works are written in Parsi. So the Babur's account is called Baburnama. So Babur, Humayun, Shah Jahan, Akbar, all the way down to Bahadur Shah Zafar. They have had a script writing the historic accounts, live-in history accounts at that particular time. So Babur's were called Baburnama, Akbar's was called Akbarnama, then similarly up until Bahadur Shah Zafar, he also has his Shah Zafar Nama. So Nama means in their name all the accounts of all the atrocities. So these Parsi versions have been converted, have been translated into English. Aurangzeb's was translated in the 1915 or so by Jadunath Sarkar, and he has done an outstanding job of translating it. That was my first book that I read when I was in my 9th or 10th grade in the public library. So those books are available, those English translations are available. Now you don't even need to go to a library. These English translations are available on Google, on what you call archive.org. So you can find these on archive.org and read the atrocities done. Probably they thought that they are going to change, like Iran, within a span of 30 years, it converted from Zoroastrian to Islam. I mean, like within a span of 30 to 50 years, all the places where they attacked, it changed into Islam. So they thought that this will be one such. So in the rest of the places, whoever attacked and converted, they are considered as the greatest and the brightest kings in their historical references. So they thought, let's maintain ours. And at least about 7 or 8 generations of them, of their accounts. So in a net result, because you touched upon the Kashi Vishwanath, one myth that has to be understood, busted, is recently the Prime Minister of India, Modi ji, he has not rebuilt anything. He has not rebuilt anything. He has just made it more visible. And what he has made visible is not considered as the actual Shivalinga, Jyotirlinga. That present structure in Kashi, that which we see, was rebuilt by Ahalya Bai Holkar. She was a great queen who, if you go from Kedarnath, including not Kedarnath, not just Kedarnath, Pashupatinath all the way down to Rameshwaram, all the Jyotirlingas that are there, the Shivalaya structures, that one queen, we owe it to her that she has reconstructed all of them to the present day glory that we see. Has anybody been to Pashupatinath? Nepal, Kathmandu. So if you look at those structures, massive structures, they were all destroyed. They were destroyed by these Islamic invaders. And she was the queen of Indore. And from Indore, all the Islamic invaders were outdoor. She kicked them out, and then she took the entire control, and just by ruling that one little province, she made such money for the dharmic causes of reconstruction of these temples, all the 12 ones. Sadly, after the India partition has happened, there are certain Devi Kshetras and Shiva, Jyotirlingas are not in India, present India right now. One such which we have lost, and many of Indians don't know. Okay, instead of going through this as though I am spoon feeding, you all have smartphone, right? Dvadasha Jyotirlinga Stotra. There is one shloka. Okay, can you please? Whichever language you want to read it in, you please type it there. In, the lyrics in. Odia, Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, wherever. Opened? Can one of you read that shloka for me? Is it open? Can you read? Okay. Saurashtre Somanathancha. That is in Gujarat. Sri Shailam, Andhra Pradesh, Mallikarjuna. Okay. In Ujjaini, Mahakala, Madhya Pradesh. Omkaram. Mamaleshwaram. Omkareshwara is also right there. I mean, Ujjaini and Omkareshwara are test on Narmada Nadi. Parali Baidyanath. This is in Bihar. Dakinyam Bhimashankaram. Bhimashankar. That is where we mistake. What is the first word there? Dhakinyam Bhimashankaram. Not Maharashtram Bhimashankaram. Bhimashankar in Maharashtra is a Pratyamnaya, an alternative built. Where is this Dhakinyam Bhimashankaram? Bhimashankar otherwise is also known as Dhakeshwara, on whose name the capital of Bangladesh is Dhaka. The reason it is called Dhaka is because it is Dhakeshwar. And that is in Bangladesh. Do you know any Saraswati Devi temples? Basara in Andhra. Any other? சொல்லுங்க, வெயிட் பண்றேன். There is one in Tamil Nadu. I'm waiting. That is why I'm looking at the Oriha. There is one Saraswati also right next to it. You are? There is one in that place. There is one in Orissa. There was one in present day Afghanistan. Where does it come? A description. In Devi Bhagavatam it says Gandhara Nagare. It is mentioning that it is there in, and it is one of the Shakti Kshetras. No, Jwalamukhi is right in Himachal Pradesh. Jwalamukhi, Chamunda Devi, there are about 8 or 9 of them. There is one in Pakistan and there is one in Pak-occupied Kashmir. Hinglaj Devi. Hinglaj Devi is near Baluchistan. There is one in Pak-occupied Kashmir which is Sharda Peeth. Hindla. Hindlaj Devi भी बोलते हैं उनको. So the reason I went to this is all these temples were rebuilt by Ahalyabai Holkar, and later Todarmal, there are several others who have repaired it and reconstructed it. But the rebuild of Kashi, according to Ahalyabai Holkar's own said, the temple was desecrated. The original Shivalinga of Kashi Kshetra is cracked, and on the top of it the mosque is built. It is repurposed as a mosque. Sporadically they use it. Whenever people become more conscious, the society becomes more conscious, the consciousness of the society speaks louder, the Hindu society I mean, then the participation in that mosque becomes more rigid, but otherwise it is not something that is regular. How many of you have been to Mathura? अरे वाह, मथुरा वृंदावन गए हम. Mathura is Janma Bhumi of Bhagwan Krishna. People like Lalu Prasad Yadav have changed the concept of Sri Krishna Janmasthana because that is a prison. So whenever he was arrested, he said, "अरे हम कहाँ जा रहे हैं? श्री कृष्ण जन्मस्थान ही तो जा रहे हैं." So that Sri Krishna Janmasthana temple that was there, that was also broken by Aurangzeb. The Vigraha is in the present day, in his own Akbar, in his own, his book is also known, that is just there on the tip of the tongue, I'll tell you that. So Aurangzeb's Nama, he mentions it that this, he gives a decree that he issues saying that this murti should be put on that mass steps, so that everybody that comes in to worship shows these kafir, that kafir meaning the non-believer, that their worth of their God is under our feet. This is the statement by Aurangzeb. So this debate about saying was there a Shiva temple, there was There is nothing but Shiva Temple there. The mosque was built on the half broken temple. Anybody been to Kashi? I have lived in Kashi. So when you go around that particular mosque area, you will see that the carvings and the deities of the Hindu reference are on the wall. That Garbhagriha, the sanctum sanctorum where the Jyotirlinga of Kashi Vishwanath Baba is, that is where they had opened it up for the mosque to wash their feet before they go do namaz. And that is also according to Aurangzeb's own dictum that he had passed while breaking it. So read his own book, you will get the entire account of it. Is that reference and picture clear? Any other questions? Amma. As I said, first is reading and getting the clarity ourselves. Most of us do whatever in the name of religious practice, but there is a disconnect for us as well as for the next generation. So what can we do to correct that and find a connection? First and foremost that I would say, make it as a habit, as a family habit, to daily sit down and chant Hanuman Chalisa or chant Vishnu Sahasranama or chant, if nothing else, okay, if all of this is too elaborate and I myself do not know all of these, you have been coming to Bala Vihar and you know these invocation shlokas, right? You have been learning it, invocation shlokas and Guru Stotra. बस उतना भी पढ़ लो and Gurudev की जो आरती है उतना कर लो. A tradition that you can instill in your house as a regular daily practice. The way we are bound in our own schedules now is mornings, nobody has a common time, right? If your one kid is in elementary, the other is in middle, or one in middle and the other in high school, their timings are different. Your timings are different, your spouse's timings are different. So each one comes and goes in their own times. This is my observation. So you have to tell me कि I am somewhere there in the ballpark figure or I am way off. Okay. ये मेरा ऑब्जर्वेशन है, मैंने किसी से बैठ के पूछा भी नहीं कि आपका स्केड्यूल क्या है. आई हैव नेवर आस्क्ड. So mornings are gone. Evenings, there is a high chance of probability where everybody comes down in the evening. My observation again, if not anything else, at least dinner time there is a commonality. Fair enough? Yes, no? Okay. So during the dinner time, just before dinner, 15 minutes, light a lamp, light an agarbatti, right? Chant these, whatever is the sutra, but stick to it continuously every single day. chant that, you will have a fruit in the house. Yes? Okay. One fruit, offer it, chant Bhur Bhuva Swaha 3 times. सबको आता है गायत्री मंत्र? भूर भुवः स्वः. Offer it as नैवेद्य. भगवान को प्रसाद नहीं चढ़ाते, भगवान को नैवेद्य चढ़ाते हैं. जो वापस आता है उसे प्रसाद बोलते हैं. If you are saying in your habitual saying as भगवान को प्रसाद चढ़ाना है, मतलब भगवान को झूठा खिलाना है, नहीं. भगवान नैवेद्य, निवेदन, and then what you get back is his blessings or prasad. So that fruit is offered as naivedya, and then you do arati. Either Vedic arati है, वो लंबा चौड़ा सा क्या वो, जय जगदीश हरे, तेरा तुझको अर्पण क्या लागे मेरा, right? But keep a regular systematic habit. Point 1. The last 5 minutes. So 5 minutes you have chanted, right? 5 minutes of this arati. Last 5 minutes, close your eyes, sit down quietly. All the family. What do we do? Observe your own breathing. If you have been introduced to japa, that Ishtadeva mantra, last week or the week before, when I was giving the japamalas, I have given the entire list of mantras. Whoever is your Ishtadeva, that mantra chant. 5 minutes. But that 15 minutes regularly, 7:30 to 7:45, if that is the dinner time. Swami, 7:30 is too late for my kids. Okay, whenever is your time. 6:30 it is okay. Then 6:15 to 6:30, 15 minutes. I grew up with that kind of a system. If I did not do that chanting, there was no dinner for me. So either we had to chant, Vishnu Sahasranama or Lalita Sahasranama. How many of you know how to chant Vishnu Sahasranama? Almost so many of you know it. Very good. Purva, then the Vishnu Sahasranama, then the Uttara. There are 3 parts to it. All that put together, how much time does it take? 20 minutes. Because it was tied down to food in my family, between me and my brother, we used to cover it under 7.5 minutes. भगवान जाने हम क्या पढ़ रहे थे. हाँ, भगवान जाने कि उनको हम क्या पढ़ रहे थे. My mom used to get agitated that that is not how you have to chant. My dad used to say, let them have the habit of chanting at least. And look where it has ended me. Oh, we don't want. Don't worry, my brother has not become this. The point is, make it a regular habit, first. Second, start the dialogue with your children of the various historical aspects that as a generation of civilization has gone through for that 1,000 years, which means you have to study and you have to share it with them. Third, most important, we have certain cliched sound bites which we think is dharmic but has got nothing to do with our dharma. There are several such concepts that have gotten into our Hindu way of thinking. One, I'll give you several classic examples, at least two I will cover. One, they say, there are several paths to moksha in Hinduism. Whichever suits you, you can pick that. What are the several methods of moksha? Karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga, raja yoga, dhyana yoga. Pick whichever you want. This kind of logic is the most fallacious statement. There is no ground of logic or reason in that particular statement. And I have heard somebody say, oh, it is like, you go to Tirupati, right? You can go in a helicopter, you can go climbing the steps, you can go via road, you can go, there are several ways to reach there. Similarly, there is karma, bhakti, jnana, dhyana, raja yoga, there are several methods. Whereas the scriptures very openly declare karma, bhakti, raja yoga, dhyana yoga, all of them are meant for purifying our mind and only jnana for moksha. Very clearly stated. Where did this particular cliched soundbite enter in? You will find everybody that thinks that they are spiritual, representing Hinduism, this nonsense is spoken. Have you heard of this nonsense of all these paths lead to the same goal? Pardon my frustration, it is BS. Outright. Okay, that is one example. It is not even dharmic concept. The second of such is, ये बहुत लोगों को खटकने वाली है. Sarva Dharma Samabhava. All religions are same. Seriously? Are you blind? Seriously, are you blind? Has a Hindu gone out there to establish Hinduism, gone killing? Yes, no, all right. Thank you. The rest of the Abrahamic have done that for last 2000 years. Of their inception till now, several kinds of wars still happening. Convergence is their basic bread and butter. Do we convert? These are the methods. But you know what we end up saying? Swamiji, it doesn't matter. It is their way of spirituality. It's their way of reaching their God. Have you heard that logic also? Samabhava means what? That it is equal? Okay, there are several steps of this misunderstanding. When did this start? Do you find it in Bhagavad Gita? Yes, no, all right, I don't know something. You don't find it in Bhagavad Gita. Do you find it in Upanishads? Do you find it in any Purana, Smriti Grantha, Itihasa? Then where did it get inserted into Hinduism? Sarva Dharma Samabhava. Then people immediately, and I have had so many debates on this with so many forums, I can tell you what is the next question. Swamiji, doesn't it, the Hindu scripture say that ekam sat vipra bahuda vadanti? That there is one truth, but many people talk about it as many things. It is pani in Hindi, jal in different languages, different things, different expressions. It is the same thing. That is the next logic that people will provide. Oh, but what does that statement say? Sat, Ekam. If it is Sat, it has to be one alone. And that oneness it is talking about is not about equality. Sama is not about equality, it is about the equipoisedness of the very existential principle. The equipoisedness of the existential principle is extrapolated as all of us are equal. Are we really all of us are equal? When my own hand, 5 fingers are not equal. My left ear is not the same as my right ear. The one eye is not equal to the other eye. Okay, we want equality, let's start with the fingers. या तो इसको बड़ा करूं खींच खींच के, या फिर which one do you want? Equality is a myth. We don't, in the dharmic context, we are not talking about equality. We say there will be plurality. Each expression of plurality has its own purpose, respect that. That is the best. As the substratum, the adhara, that is Chaitanya, that is the conscious principle, and that is the only place there is equipoise. What have we started hearing? That you can call whatever and then he says it is Sarva Dharma Samabhava. Nahi hota waise. This is from our standpoint. You are running after saying that Sarva Dharma Samabhava. Is there anybody from that side also saying Sarva Dharma Samabhava? No, right? That is the sound bite that we have added in. Is there a dharmic reference to it? Absolutely none. Is there the pramana, Shruti pramana they call it, right? Tasmat shastram pramanante karya karya vyavasthitau. The Shastra pramana says ekam sat, that one indivisible truth is sat existence, is the Shastra pramana. But it cannot be misinterpreted to accommodate this. So these kinds of practices or these kinds of sound bites that we think that it is the dharmic proposal, understand whether it is really that which is coming from our Shastra Pramana. When I say Shastra Pramana, which are the Shastra? I just read it, right? Either it has to come in Bhagavad Gita, or in Upanishads, or in Itihasa, or in Purana, Smriti Granthas. Veda, Shruti is Veda, Shruti, Smriti, Purana, Itihasa, and the fifth one is Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is actually an integral part of Itihasa, but it is an easy, handy book for reference for both kinds of dharma. There are two kinds of dharma. One dharma which talks about pravritti. Pravritti meaning vyavahara. The second which talks about nivritti, which is about reaching to the core of your own essence. That which is vyavahara, the purpose of that dharma, artha, kama, moksha, right? That vyavahara is meant for reaching, purifying so that you can reach to the second aspect of dharma, which is moksha. That is how it is designed and presented by our rishis. That is the purpose of dharma. Am I getting across? So, remove and weed out these wrong statements which are being absorbed as though they are the Hindu thought. The first example is classic. There are no these many paths to moksha, there is only one, jnanat evatu kaivalyam. Rest of them as purifiers. Now, there are several such. So, weed them out. Fourth, what is the first one? Set up a tradition at home to practice as a family. Second, have a discussion with regards to your civilization history with your children, so which means you also have to learn. Third, remove these, weed out these, that which are being sold very as a Hindu or as a dharmic concept, which has no validity to it. Fourth, the most important is make an effort in connecting to your native language. Two language part A, part B. One is your native language, second is Sanskritam. If you can take care of these four, I think we will be on a right direction. Language is a must. Reading, writing, speaking, the kind of connect that it establishes is pure genius. So the transliteration, try avoiding it, maybe initially. Teach that to your children. No child gets confused learning multiple languages. Teach them your native language. See, I know one sentence in each language. And when I find that language speaking person, I repeat it shamelessly. Today I met that gentleman from Orissa. He is settled in Visakhapatnam. As soon as I saw him, Bhalochantiki, and he got excited. But those who know me know that that is the only sentence that I know. When I see people from Tamil Nadu, I try speaking Tamil or Telugu or Kannada or Malayalam. Why? It is to instill the identity, the connection with the bhasha. And then Sanskritam. It's not an alien language, it is not a forgotten language, it is not a dying language. It is the most vibrant, most spiritual language, because our essence is written in that language, in that particular Deva Bhasha. So let's revive these four steps, and it will establish that connect and continue it. I think we'll stop here. If you have any questions for the registration and other things, Neelima is here, so you can please take all these questions to her. If you have any questions here. Amma? Oh. See, earlier if I couldn't hear, I could read the lips. It is difficult. This being the last of the academic year, Balavihar year, it is a habit to offer Guru Dakshina. So if you are in the mindset of there are the envelopes there, hai na? Mujhe dikh raha nahi hai. Yeah, there must be envelopes there. So take those envelopes. And if you are of the modernest of the modern, where you only carry swipe system. We have Parthibanji with Zelle, Venmo, swipe, all of that is in that corner. I'll understand the bhava of your Guru Dakshina coming through there. So you can go there. So announced. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.